Okay, well, thank you. Well, my very special guest is Renee.
Hello.
Welcome to Humdrum. Listen, congratulations on the single. It must be a knockout for you.
It is.
Now, listen, I've got to ask you something. Now that you will, next week will definitely, I would say, be the top 10 single nationally. A lot of people over the time have said that you've avoided having a hit because you're perhaps afraid that people might say that you're copping out or something.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I mean, how can you avoid...
Yeah.
Nobody can avoid success. I mean, to have success could only be the greatest thing to get. So, I mean, I've just had bad luck. Everything we've put out, we've tried for a hit.
But it is a case sometimes when the music purists immediately, you know, someone like yourself, an established artist, has a hit. I mean, it used to happen with Skyhooks and all of them. They'd sort of say, well, they're copping out to some extent. Do you think, I mean, it's hardly fair, is it?
No, it's very unfair.
Yeah.
I mean, every time we put something out, we just pray that it's going to be...
Well, I mean, it's a departure from what you usually do, and it goes over so well on stage and everything.
It's part of the whole thing live that we do.
What next?
So I'm going to go back to LA, finish the album, and then come back and tour the places that I didn't get to before.
Right, so you leave this week, away for what, a month?
About a month, yeah.
And then come back and do tours?
Yeah.
And you're going to do any Dallas Books Hall concerts, like the biggest
Hopefully.
Concerts? Fantastic.
Yeah. We haven't done them before because it was economically just not worth it, so...
Well, it's a buzz to have you back, and it's great to see that you've got a top 10.
Thanks,
all right?
Molly.
We'll have a
Thanks
bottle of
for
champagne.
all you've done for me,
That's
too.
cool. Listen, before we go, must review this album. When you go to New York, if you want to laugh, I mean, a lot of people take this thing seriously. This is the actual soundtrack, the double soundtrack, of a Gilbert and Sullivan opera called The Pirates of Penzance, right? And God bless the Americans, they decided to revive it. And by reviving it, they sort of modernised it a bit, and they used people such as Linda Ronstadt and this guy that I'll never forget, Rex Smith, who would have to be one of the punciest guys we'd ever have on Countdown. Well, I sort of sat through the show with some heavies from the recording companies, and quite frankly thought that the Alice Springs repertory group could do a lot better if they staged one around Ayers Rock or somewhere like that. As it turned out, Time magazine raved about it. It's become the biggest hit musical in Broadway. No doubt this is going to be a smash in America, this particular album. I believe there's a chance that it's going to be an Australian production, and I hope it's a lot better because it's a great opera and it's great to see a revival. But this, forget it. And Linda, heavens knows what she's done to herself. Talking about from Renee to Linda, I don't know whether you like this chick, Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac.
Lovely.
Have you heard the song with Tom Petty?
No.
Well, it could be a hit in this country. Here it is, Stevie Nicks with Tom Petty with... There you are, Stevie and Tom with Stop Dragging My Heart Around, which is a very apt title sometimes. Actually, I don't know whether that is going to be a hit, but certainly the one that deserves to be a hit is the Tom Petty, The Waiting, so watch out for that one. If you haven't heard the album, then please go out and have a listen to it. New toy before, we heard from Lena Lovitch that is a very sort of, which we call a creeper on the charts. It's been out for a long, long time, and it looks as if it's going to be a hit. And talking about new toys, this particular record here is actually the 12-inch single in America for Split Enz with I Don't Want to Dance. It's quite a unique thing. They came out with the Laser record before in America, and this is the new one. You can't actually get it here, but it's a beauty. Perhaps Festival may sort of do a very special release of this record. It's a great one, all right? Watch out for that one. Dan Hartman, a guy that had Instant Replay about 3 or 4 years ago, and of course Relight My Fire. He has got a great album. It's not a disco album. It's an album that has got a lot of great sounds on it, and It Hurts to Be in Love, which is the title of the album, and it's the first track, as the old Everly Brothers song. It's superbly done. It's going to be a monster once it's released in this country. Okay, the British Beat is a group that I think that aren't recognised enough in this country. Like Madness, I'm sure they're going to grow and grow and grow. Let's have a look at the British Beat with Drowning. This is great.
Between the sleepless nights, you dream that you are winning fights, but then it happens, dreadful thing. A wave appears too big to swim. You're drowning high at beach before the next sun.
And there, the glimpse we've all been waiting for. And just listen to the crowd. Hyde Park erupts again.
All right, that of course is the Royal Fireworks that were on earlier this week to start the celebrations for the Royal Wedding. The reason we've shown that bit of footage, and especially the term Hyde Park rocks again, is the reason that it brought so much joy to so many people. When you think it's 750 million people watched that telecast, and when you saw so many people enjoying themselves, naturally enjoying themselves, and getting such a buzz out of two people getting married, it certainly does bring people together. The other thing, which the commentator said when he says Hyde Park rocks again, the one other thing that does bring people together is music, and it certainly would be great, especially in London, but throughout the world, if we could have the concerts of yesteryears that happened in Hyde Park, like the Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd and Queen. That was when people in England really did enjoy themselves. So we hope that music, if in nothing else, can bring the world back together again. All right. Okay, Australian Crawl are about to go on tour throughout Australia, and the first part of it, I'll take you over to Gavin Wood, and he's going to tell you all about it. Take it over, Gavin.
Thanks, Molly. Australian Crawl are doing an extensive tour of Australia, and here are the major tour dates. The 5th of August, Bendigo. The 11th of August in Newcastle. 15th of August in Brisbane. The Ports of Crawl Australian Crawl Tour will be in Sydney on the 19th of August, the 22nd of August in Melbourne, and the 29th of August in Adelaide. They'll be working their way through country areas as well, so watch your local papers for details. Now it's back to you, Molly.
Thanks, Gavin. That's a really good buzz that Crawl are in fact going on the road. And with me, James. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Listen, first of all, congratulations on the album.
Thank you.
I did say a couple of weeks ago when I actually reviewed it twice. The first time was sort of a pre-thing before the album was released. I'm talking, of course, about this particular album that is #1 in a lot of state charts right throughout the country, Sirocco. And then I said I wasn't sure a couple of weeks later whether it was as good as The Boys Light Up. And I've told you, I told you already before the show, I think it's better. There's some great songs on this. And you take sort of back step next week, sort of like, and let Guy take over as lead vocals.
Yeah, I'm taking a step back, mate, yeah.
Now, you both wrote Errol together, right?
Yeah, well, it's basically his. I mean, he had the sort of the melody and everything. I just write the words.
Right.
Basically the words.
Well, I mean, Errol, I can understand. It's going to be the single, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Not You Again could have almost been one. I mean, there's so many great tracks on it, right?
Yeah.
When you wrote the song, and this is what I really want to know, who did you decide then who was going to do the lead singing on this between you and Guy?
Yeah, well, we did. We wanted to present Guy a little better. We wanted to put him more in the front light, you know, take a little bit of light off me a bit. Right. So it's working quite well like that, yeah.
Well, it's great to see you back on the road. Do you enjoy sort of touring, like, you know, doing sort of like small gigs and big gigs and things like that?
I love it.
Yeah?
It's great, yeah.
Well, congratulations anyhow.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot. Next week, incidentally, you're coming on the show to, in fact, perform Errol.
Yes,
which will be a single later on, but because the album is so big, we had to sort of have a Crawl on at least doing something. All right, I don't know if you know this guy over
I do, mate,
on centre stage.
No.
This particular person I admire immensely because it's not often in any show business family right throughout the world, whether they be film stars, whatever it may be, can make a name in his own right. His brother, and I'm talking about young Jimmy from Cold Chisel, is already an enormity on the Australian scene. This guy probably did have a problem because he is his half-brother and sings very much like him in some respects. But this guy, shut up, is one of the nicest guys I know, one of the most loved guys in the business. Were you ever a carpenter? You weren't a carpenter. But in his own right, he is going to be a monster. I'm talking about Swanee and his group, and here is Swanee with his new single, If I Were a Carpenter. Take it over.